Yo, what up, everybody? It's Coach Renz. Welcome to Deconstructing Christianity and our new time, which is our old time because we used to do this at 12 noon Eastern Standard when we first began doing live. So we are back to that schedule. So hopefully, everyone who used to join me at night will be able to join me during the day. And for those who are overseas, I know this makes it a lot easier for you to be on the lives than it was for when the lives were at 8 o'clock at night. So, but this was a necessary change as changes are happening in my life right now. So my schedule had to change. So I'm glad to see that there are already people joining on the live, and we're gonna have a good group today because our conversation on this day is going to be the lie of the family reunion in heaven. That's the conversation that we're going to have today. What up, Dwayne? Glad to see some of my members showing up. So I want to thank everybody who's a member on Facebook. Member on YouTube, subscription holder on Facebook. Those who support the channel this way through Cash App, I greatly appreciate it. Uh, did get some cigars over the weekend, so I am thrilled. I'm very thrilled. So today we're gonna wait. We always give about 5 minutes to allow people to get on. For those people, a lot of you in the East Coast and Central Time Zone, this is your lunch and learn time frame. So, hey Pearl, how you doing? Hey Pearl, seen you in a while. Yes. Now this subject matter today is very sensitive. It's a very sensitive subject. So I did a couple of videos about this a while back, last week, concerning this subject on two fronts. One was talking about is there anybody in heaven right now? The other person is do babies go to heaven, go to hell, and the different historical thought processes on that. Uh, it was a very interesting conversation in the comments, so thought that we should have a live concerning this subject matter. Of it's a so there's a trigger to this one. There's a trigger warning to this conversation that I want you guys to be aware of. If you're very sensitive to it, like I know I have a friend, her mother passed away 10, 15 years ago. She goes into depression every March. This would be too much of a conversation to have. So if you're like incredibly sensitive about your deceased loved ones, this is probably not a video you should be a part of. Right? Just this is for anybody, whether you believe in Christianity or you don't believe in Christianity. This is a very sensitive conversation. Hey Stephanie, how you doing? I know for some of the people who normally watch the show at night, this is going to have to be a rebroadcast for you. But sorry. But yeah, so I just want to get that trigger warning out there that this one may hurt, and my intent is never to hurt anybody's feelings, because losing loved ones is never easy, especially if they're children. So you have been duly warned. Now the name of this channel. We know what we talk about here. What? Your picture on the right looks like. Oh, I forgot to put the thing up so everybody can see each other's comments. Here we go. Hold on. What up, Donald? What is gross? Your picture on the right looks like from a J-Dub publication. I've been listening, but not commenting. I'm glad you were talking about this, and thank you for the trigger warning. Oh! I thought you were talking about the picture with the cigar part, but I see what you're saying. You know what? I think it does come from a J-Dub publication. I think it does. It threw me completely off track. I was about to forgot what I was about to say. Oh my gosh. What up, Brian? How you doing? Miss Big Up. Um, it do look like a JW publication. Now, I didn't even think about that when I saw it. I didn't even realize that. So Christopher, I know I'm gonna have to say this multiple times. The new time for the lives will be 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I can't do them at night anymore. Life changes are occurring, so doing them at night is not going to be something that I can do anymore. So they will be at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You know what? Y'all ain't gonna distract me. Like, all right. So if you can't stay now, you can watch it later. Watch it later. Let me get my cigar ready, and we can get started on the show. So I realized that my new time is going to bring some different people on here. You may not know what this channel is about. You stole that from the ladies outside the Alamo. All right, so this is going to bring about different people or people who used to follow, who used to be on the live in the earlier parts, because when I first started doing live, the lives were done at 12 noon, right? 12 noon Eastern Standard Time frame. Actually, when I first started doing live, they would have been done at 10 a.m., but then they moved to 12 noon. So we're just going back to our almost originally planned schedule, right? That's right, Tyrone. Get your cigar ready. I got the La Angelina, hand rolled by my wife. But this is going to be a new time. So let's get into the subject matter. So the question, well, how do I want to start this out? I want to start this out by just being straight up honest. Straight up honest. The idea of regaining and having a reunion with your family members in heaven, other than the fear of hell, this is the biggest thing that keeps people attached to this religion. And this is yet one of the biggest lies that you can find in this religion. That if you actually read this Bible and you believe in what the Bible says, get your not cigar, Leon, then there is absolutely no way that you could believe that you get to have a reunion with your family members up in heaven. There's no way you could believe that your family members are in heaven right now, looking down over your shoulder and trying to make sure that you're doing right. You see it on pop culture references all the time. Oh, your mama just looking down on you, just crying. Or your daddy done rolled over in his grave. And, you know, you all these different inferences about heaven and your family being up there, and you're going to reunite with all your family members when you're in heaven. I mean, I know we don't normally get many Christians on here, but I would challenge any Christian to show me a verse that says that you get reunited with your family in heaven, like you will know them. Because the overwhelming idea in this book is that you will not be reunited with your family. There is no guarantee that your family is going to be there. A lot of people, they have those programs at the funeral of their teenage son or their 21-year-old, 30-year-old, and they got heavenly wings on them. Your drug dealing gangster, drug addict, pimped up, fighting all the time, walking around, got 15 kids or got 15 baby mamas. This joker is not in heaven. I know it feels good to make you say that, but this joker is not in heaven. The day before he died, he was in a gang fight, shooting people. The day before she died, she was dragging somebody by her hair and gaming the system. This motherfucker's not in heaven, right? Even if let's say the story was 100% true, and there's a judgment day, I can name. Well, let me put it like this: At least half the people that I've ever known in my life, they not going. I got family members, love them to life. They not going. My little drug dealing family members, in and out of prison family members, they not going. Even though they claim that they believe in this religion, but what does it say by the fruits of your works? He will know who you are. They not going. So the this unrealistic idea that people have, and this is why I don't want, I couldn't go to a funeral and I see some little Thug Nation dude. I'm gonna laugh. Oh, little Pee Wee, that was my boy and everything. And he always had my back. I know he in heaven looking down. That motherfucker's not in heaven. Pee Wee not in heaven. Matter of fact, I know a Pee Wee who I think he is dead. His ass is not in heaven. He ain't gonna make it through the pearly gates. But don't say that to his family. Don't say that to his family. And then even in my family, we've had one baby that's passed away, like a baby. We've never had that before, but we had that some years ago. It's nice. It's nice to think that the baby goes to heaven. But according to most of the early church fathers, that baby does not go to heaven. That baby is doomed to hell, because I doubt if his parents ever baptized her. But we like to think that. That was what we like to think. Now I was waiting to see if I had any Christians on here that would tell me where the Bible says that there's going to be a reunion. Let me tell you one of the things that caught me off guard, and I hated to read it. And in my in an aggravated moment, I used it in marriage counseling when I was in marriage counseling. It was a combination. So I'm gonna give you the whole combination. So I was telling the pastor that I don't really believe in the Bible and so on and so forth, and I've been walking away from it. And even though they had me propped up as a deacon and everything, and they understood I didn't really believe in the Bible. And we was in counseling, and the pastor said, and Pearl is the only person who's going to know each individual person that I'm talking about in this situation. But the pastor at the time said, that you got to be equally yoked. And I threw back at him. I said, nah, according to the Bible, if the wife believes but the husband do not, then the husband is saved by the wife. So I don't need to believe in it. If the husband believes and the wife do not, then the wife is saved by the husband, right? So he was like, damn, got me. But then he was like, but don't you want to be together, in holy matrimony for all eternity? And then I throw out there, but didn't Jesus say that in heaven you're not given unto marriage, that you're like the angels? So when you see these couples who are always talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna be forever for all eternity. No, you're not. You're just together here on earth. If you believe in the Bible, in heaven you are not married to your spouse. Now I want you to think about it. And it throughout the Bible, the son never becomes one with his father. He never becomes one with his mother. He never becomes one with his brothers or sisters or uncles, aunts, cousins, none of them. Nor does the daughter becomes one with any of her relatives. The only person that you're supposed to become one with in this Bible is your spouse, right? But if you're not even married in heaven, you're still your oneness is separated once you go to heaven. What makes you think you're gonna go up there and have this big family reunion? What makes you think this big family reunion is about to happen? And that was hard for me. And yes, out of irritation, I threw that one out in a counseling moment. But I want you to think about that. When you was a Christian, and think about every Christian person you know, every Bible believer that you know. So they are literally told that in heaven you're not married. That's why it says, "Till death do us part." Because when you die, you're not together no more. And after that, both persons die, you still not together. How does it, when you, for those of you who are on here who used to be Christian, when you were Christian, or not, did that ever sit with you? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever realize that? Did you ever have a moment that you sat with that idea that uh, in heaven I will not be with my wife, or I will not be with my husband? Now, Joseph, what you call the spirit is what I call your consciousness. So we could be talking about the same. But does it stay cohesive is the question. No more panic, but your wife giving you panic attacks. But that's a hard one for a lot of people to deal with. I remember I was counseling this one couple and I told them, I said, look, you're not going to be married in heaven, so y'all need to have the best time you possibly can have on earth. You're fighting over trivial things, so why don't you just enjoy the shit out of life now? Because in heaven, you're not married. So it's like the Sealy paradox to me. I'm gonna start. Yeah, that's my new. I'm coining that, the Sealy paradox, where you take and you suffer through life now because someone has convinced you that heaven is going to be this such a great place that you're willing to suffer now. So you suffer through a marriage, you suffer with uh, a bad husband, a bad wife, you suffer with all these things. Why? Because what? You're not married in heaven. So, oh, one of my grandfathers is a big old and very Catholic. My family that believes he will be in heaven is. You see, that's a big issue. See, but it's a nice, comforting thing. It's nice and it's comforting. I contemplated it, and being married till death do us part is just fine. And this is what keeps people. This is how when the pastors or the people involved in the church, this is how they feed this to you. You know, I feel bad for my auntie. She lost my uncle back in 2021. Sad to think she won't see him again. You see, Christianity has been promising you that, and it's not just Christianity. Let me be clear. The majority of religions since roughly about 3000 BCE is when the ideas of an afterlife really started to take hold. Uh, some areas, some cultures, you can see it in 5000 BCE, but really in about, so from that time forward in the religions, when there started to be an afterlife, and people seeing their relatives and being with their relatives, some going to Tartarus, some going to Elysium, or some going to the field of reeds in the Kemetic. You know, you had these different places that people were going. It became a way to comfort people, and that comfort attracted people. If you believe in this religion, then one day your relative, you will see them again. They won't. You. that is just as so if you can't scare somebody into this religion, you can comfort them into religions, right? So if you wanted to build a religion today, either you use fear or you use comfort, and the best combination is you do a little bit of both. You use the comforting ideas to get them, well, let me how I want to phrase that. It's a process of having fear even within the comfort. Or if you want to see your grandmother, you want to see your grandfather, you're gonna be married to your husband again in heaven, but you got to stay with this religion though. If you don't stay with this religion, you're gonna go to hell, and then you ain't gonna see your grandfather, you ain't gonna see your husband. They're gonna be in heaven, like Irenaeus said. One of the greatest things of heaven is to look over the edge of heaven and see all the people being tormented in hell. That's what Irenaeus wrote in 180 CE. These are the people who created the doctrine that people believe in today. And then you're going to have this. You're going to have this issue. You up in heaven, walking around in heaven all day. What was the old song talking about how you be walking around in heaven? Even though the Bible says that you're going to be on your knees praising this God 24/7 with cherubims flying over his head screaming, holy, holy, holy. You ain't walking around in heaven. You're not looking over the edges. But even on your bended knee in slavery to this God, if you are aware of self, aware of where you came from, how you gonna feel about this God that he's eternally tormenting the people that you loved? See, there's a young lady on here who I haven't seen in a long time. And I love Pearl. One of my favorite people when I was living in Marietta. If I went to heaven and Pearl didn't, I would feel some kind of way about this guy tormenting her, because she is a sweet lady, nice lady. You know, now she ain't she does have a little bit of FOFA in her, especially if you do something towards her family. But all other levels, wonderful woman. I don't give a damn if she believed in this God or not. She does not deserve heaven. And there's no way I can be in a heaven with a God that says that she, with all the nice, great things about her, is going to be in this hell being tormented forever. It's unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. And I thought about this. I couldn't stand. If people always ask me the question, what would I say if I met this guy? I couldn't be able to stand this joker. I would tell him I'd deal with the consequences of being destroyed by you or whatever than to be with you. And to a certain degree, you are correct. The Bible doesn't say we go to heaven. It says that we will inherit the earth, that the dead do not think, speak, feel. They are in a sleep-like state. Right? This is the idea of soul sleep, that they're in this sleep-like state. The book of Revelation in the Bible, well, actually, it's kind of like it's a mixture, my guy, Tim and Miranda. So I don't know if this is Tim or I don't know if this is Miranda. But there is a mixture. Of course, in Revelation, you got the idea of this new Jerusalem descending down on heaven and on earth, and there's going to be a new earth. But that new earth is the kingdom of God. That new earth is the heaven. So it is not this earth, but it is a brand new earth with a brand new city that you're supposed to be living in, which is heaven. It's still the same thing. It's still the similar thing. You're splitting hairs. Nice to meet you too, Miranda. But that's kind of splitting hairs in the way you're thinking about it, because the old earth is supposed to be destroyed. This earth, let me rephrase. This earth is supposed to be destroyed, and then a new earth is built, and then there's a descending of this city. Now, the Jehovah Witness, they proclaim that the 144 will be up in heaven with God at his throne, while the rest are down here on this new earth and this new Jerusalem, right? Now, New Jerusalem got to be one hell of a city that is going to hold the billions upon billions of people that's lived and breathed. So I went through that just so you understand. I understand what you're saying, but that heaven, the kingdom, and you got to remember, Jesus always said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of God is at hand. So heaven is now. Heaven is now. If you believe in this book, it's now. Even if you don't believe in this book, I see it as a concept of what you create for yourself, not something that is created for you, but what you create for yourself. But let's think about some of the things that the Bible says as far as who's in heaven right now. Now, if you saw the video that I did concerning all your deceased relatives in heaven, you know that the answer is no. Right now, there's, according to the Bible, if you're a believer in the Bible, that no one is in heaven right now, except for the older saints pre-Jesus. But no post-Jesus people are in heaven. The last person that would have been the thief on the cross, because he said, on this day you will be in heaven with me, with my Father, which is a little bit odd, since Peter and John says that Jesus went and talked to the prisoners, but he also went to Abraham's bosom and brought the people out of the prison, according to First Peter, brought the people out of Abraham's bosom, according to, I believe, it's First John, but brought them out of Abraham's bosom. Beyond that, everybody's supposed to be soul sleeping. Everybody's supposed to be a soul sleep. So the idea that your parents are in heaven watching you, over you, your guardian angels, or any deceased relative is up in heaven watching over you, is a false claim. There's no one in heaven looking over, watching you. It's a comforting, it's a teaching of comfort, but according to the Bible, if you believe the Bible, then no one can be. And no one can be, because what does it say in Revelation? It talks about the fact that when the battle of Armageddon is over, that the sea will give up their dead, that the graves will give up their dead, and you will have a new body, and you will rise up. So if and as Miranda pointed out earlier, the dead know nothing, they think nothing, they do nothing, they sleep. So they have to be in that state in order for the graves and everything to give up their dead. And remember, according to the story, only in Matthew, during the resurrection, there were the graves of the saints in Jerusalem got up, and they had some walk around money. They was walking around. Of course, no one else recorded this, which makes it one hell of a fish story. Whether you call it heaven, whether you call it the new earth, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. You're abiding with this God. If you want to, and I'm assuming that's what you mean, T. But I don't get overly caught up into, is it Jesus? Is it Yahushua or Yeshua? You know who we're talking about. If you got to get down into that, then, and that's the only, that's not, let's move from that. I know, come on, T. Come on. Jehovah Witness, good question of Paul. William, you might be talking to somebody else. But as we go through this, as we look at the story, as the way that it's being told, There's no way your family members are up in heaven. And that's especially hard when it's a baby, when it's a child. But according to most of the early church fathers, if you had a child and that child was not baptized, then that child automatically goes to hell. Now, how do you guys feel about that? Your child goes to hell. And you know what? This actually works in the thought process. What's your thought about Pascal's wager? Consider Christianity isn't the only religion. That is the that's where Pascal's wager falls apart. Pascal's wager only works if you're talking to someone who does not believe that there is a God at all, that no God exists. But as soon as you uh, look at Pascal's wager and say between Christianity and Islam, between Christianity and Hinduism, between Christianity and any other religion, it fails. So then you go to their hell or their rebirths or their condemnations, whatever it is, that because you didn't believe in Oshun or you didn't believe in Woden or you didn't believe in Quetzalcoatl, you know, you didn't believe in their God, so you lose. You completely lose. So it doesn't work. So the babies are born of other people, they all go to hell. Unbaptized Christian babies and babies who were unbaptized baby to Christians and other babies from any other culture, they all go to hell. And I did a video about this the other day as well, Miranda. People have taken the Bible literally. It's all metaphor. Galatians chapter 4, Paul is saying, utilizing the story of Abraham, Hagar, and Sarai as a metaphor. He tells you, I'm using this story as a metaphor. He is not saying the entire thing is a metaphor. Yes, Jesus speaks in parables. Sure. But let me put it like this. If the entire Bible was all a metaphor, then that would mean an allegory, because Paul's specific use of the word was allegory, then that would mean as an allegory or a metaphor that Adam, Eve, Seth, Noah, Moses, Shem, Ham, Japheth, Joseph, Joshua, that none of them existed. And if Abraham does not exist, then there is no Abraham to David. Then that would mean David didn't exist. If David does not exist, then there is no line to Jesus, which would make Jesus the Messiah that was foretold in the Bible. So if it's all metaphor, then the whole Jesus thing is even bigger lie than we think. So it's either literal or it's not. There's some mixtures. You can always claim certain mixtures when they specify a mixture. But without a flood story, then you don't get the three sons, and then all the world is populated from those three sons, and then the line of Shem doesn't exist. So then there is no connection between Jesus and this God. They believe the stories to have been real. The writers of it believe it to be real. The people who would have received it at the time of the writing believe that it would be, that it is real. Think about if you read Romeo and Juliet today. Do you not read it and take it for what Shakespeare wrote? Or do you take the story and say, no, that's not what Shakespeare meant? Shakespeare really meant this, he really meant that, he really meant. No, of course not. So it's literal. And that's one of the reasons why I had to deconstruct from this book, because these people literally believe that there was a donkey talking, a snake talking. All the other gods exist. The chats there. So I'm streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and StreamYard allows for all the comments that I see that you guys are able to see them. So the ones in red are YouTube, the ones in blue are Facebook. And this people read between the lines and everything. They gin up the smallest big of not impossible and say it's how evidence. Yes, they do. And a further thought in that is that because people gin up whatever they desire and they renegotiate the writings from different time frames and eras, this is what creates the different doctrines. This is what create the different followings, right? And see, I just went over and explained that whole thing, and here we go. Here we go. Hagar represents Mount Sinai, where God made a covenant with Moses and the Israelites, which means all who came from Hagar are not the promise, but of the flesh. Hence the Israelites, not the chosen. You must be Muslim, because the Muslims will tell you, the Israelites will tell you that the children of Hagar are from the flesh, and they, which means that, wait a minute, you're confusing me. You said Hagar represented Mount Sinai and God was in the covenant with Moses and the Israelites, which means all who came from Hagar are not not the promise, but of the flesh. Hence, Israelites, not the chosen. You mean Israelites, the chosen? I think is what you meant. Yes, we just went over Galatians 4, and he's saying that the Israelites were the chosen, and the ones who came from Hagar are not the chosen. That's what Paul wrote. Sure, Paul wrote that, and he was using that as an allegory, as a metaphor. He wasn't saying that it didn't happen. So if I use a metaphor, right, about something, does my metaphor mean that that's all that it means? You know what I'm saying? That is all that it could ever mean. That now they cease to be real people. They are just allegories, and everything else that deals with it. If I make an allegory about, I mean, let's do something that's not going to make people go too far off track. I don't know. If I made an allegory about Hawaii, you know, an allegory that Alaska was purchased and Hawaii was conquered, and since Alaska is not is connected by land to America, that Alaskans are more Americans because they were purchased and not conquered, and those in Hawaii were conquered and are separated by an ocean of water, so that they are not as American. So Alaskans are the chosen, more chosen than the people of Hawaii. Does Hawaii and Alaska now become an allegory? I know that was a terrible example, but it's the first thing that popped in my mind. That extra money that they pay you to live there almost got me to move there, but it's cold. It's cold. Never gonna happen. That gave me a headache. My bad, Julio. But that's what I'm talking about. When people they start to make up these different ideas concerning what they think this God is saying, and all of this, what they think, has created these doctrines. If Augustine and Irenaeus and Jerome and Justin Martyr and John Calvin wasn't writing all these things. I mean, John Calvin was probably one of the worst, him and Augustine. John Calvin, who started Calvinism, was so horrific in it that he was saying that, look, if your baby is unbaptized or anybody's unbaptized, no, he was saying that there are babies, people in general, and yes, babies who are predestined will be reconciled to God, and all others who will be going to hell. So there are babies who were born that will be going straight to hell, but just have less punishment. But it's all been predestined. Oh shoot, I forgot something. Just remembered. This comment made me remember something. So quick commercial break. On the weekend of October 31st through November 2nd, we will be having a Free Thinkers meetup, a deconstructing Christianity meetup here in San Antonio, Texas. On that Friday night, we will be meeting up at the location that I will disclose closer to the date, because I got to make sure they don't have any reservations, because I'm trying not to have to ask anybody to spend any money beyond them coming and showing up. So making sure the places are locales are free. So we're gonna have a Friday night meetup on the first time when you get here Friday night. Then Saturday after breakfast at the Drury Hotel. The link is in the description of this video. In order to reserve your reservation at the Drury Hotel in downtown San Antonio, they provide a free breakfast. They provide free snacks at lunchtime. They also provide a free dinner buffet. So you will save money by staying here, and you're getting a discounted rate by showing up for this weekend. On that Saturday afternoon, late morning, around noontime, we're going to be having a meetup at the Japanese Tea Garden. It's completely free. You just have to get there. 4 people share a Lyft ride. It's like $4 a person. And then we will have another meetup later on that evening up by one of the swimming pools. I'm not saying you're getting in the water or you have to get in the water or dress for it, but we're going to meet up there because it's free. And then Sunday, before people depart, we'll meet for breakfast at the hotel. And depending upon other people's departure times, we'll figure it out. So October 31st through November 2nd, that weekend, Halloween weekend, it will be great for you guys to come and hang out with us, and so we can meet each other, greet each other, get to know each other on a more personal level, and really vibe with our tribe. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program. I had to catch up with some of the things that you guys were writing because I was doing that. You think, do you know where it says that? I mean, because when you read the writings of John Calvin basically was saying that if God is omniscient, then God already knows everything. He already knows the end, the beginning. He already knows every decision that you're going to make. And since all of that has already been known by this God, then everything must be predestined. And so whether or not you're going to heaven and hell has already been predestined. The fact that you will either accept this God or reject this God has already been predetermined before you even came into existence. So therefore, there is no such thing as free will. So I don't know where in Ephesians it says anything about predestined. I can't think of it right now. You know, Miranda, the only thing that throws me off about these types of things, let me see, let me make sure I put it. Yes, I do have a chakra chart up. I use the chakra system to get past certain emotional issues like fear, shame, guilt, lost love, all those kinds of things. Um, I see you have a chakra turn. Each flower has a number of petals. I got two. I got a different one. I know you probably looking at that. But the problem with some of these mathematical numerology things is that, okay, here's the question. Um, why are you multiplying it by 2? Why are you multiplying by 1,000? Why can't you multiply by 100? Unless you're trying to get to a number. And the chakras, I went over that in the, I know you weren't on my lives, you just now finding this, but we talked about that before. Oh shoot, I did something. I think I deleted somebody's comment by accident. God damn it. Oh, yeah. I did something by accident. I hope I didn't delete a person. But we went over this, and maybe I'll do an independent video about it. But the 7 seals and the 7 chakras have absolutely zero relation to each other. Zero relation, none whatsoever. None. But what was that? Ephesians? Is that what I deleted by accident? Oh, Ephesians 1:5. I'm curious about the predestined thing. I've never seen it any direct. Ephesians chapter 1, RSV updated edition. I said updated edition, not the regular RSV. Let's go with this one. He destined us in love to be his sons through Jesus Christ according to the purpose of his will. Let's see. Blessed be the God, the Father of Lord Jesus Christ, and the blessings of Christ and spiritual blessings of heaven. Please, even if he chooses us, even as he choose us in him before the foundation of the world, even as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and blameless before him. He destined us. Yeah, that sounds a lot like predestination. Okay, I can see how that's part of the predestination thought process. You know, we got off subject a lot sooner than we're supposed to. We're supposed to go the first hour on the subject, but it's all right. I just y'all, the daytime group is just as bad as the nighttime group. I'm guessing we're gonna be off subject within an hour. Oh man. I didn't spend much time. Yeah, yeah. Miranda, you don't ever have to apologize for getting us off subject. As many of the people who are always on here, they do it on purpose. It's a good. If Tim and Wrath was on here, I think Wrath is on here, but if Tim was on here with Wrath, then they are always off subject. Yes, there is a Facebook to YouTube stream. No, just Facebook. Oh snap! Oh shit! I did not want this on that channel. There's a YouTube stream that is going on that is not supposed to be going on. So the people who have come on here from Lorenzo Reed 369, that is a relationship channel. I did not intend for this to be on this channel. That channel is specifically about relationship. I will remove that group, that page from this YouTube stream, and I will delete that video from that one because this is, I do not like to mix relationships with spirituality, my personal spirituality. So, sorry about that. I'm about to find out how many people was on there from there. How did that get there? I did not put that there. Son of a biscuit eater. Well, that channel might have just got some damage. Thank you, Travis, for letting me know. Mm-mm-mm. The one thing I never wanted to do was to mix those two channels. And here I go mixing the damn channel. Ah, oh well. If somebody on that channel is offended, it'll be all right. I guess it's kind of timely for that channel. I just did a video on about how these people were fighting over a deceased family member. Okay, I don't think, okay, it's not on there. I'm sorry, y'all. I just had to make sure that it got deleted from that channel, and it did. Oh well. Moving right along. How you doing, Texas guys? And thank you for reserving your room at the Jury Texas Goddess. Look forward to seeing you on October 31st through November 2nd. Got to throw the plug back in there again. So anyway. I know you guys, we've kind of hitting multiple subject matters at this point, but just want to reiterate, if you haven't seen the two videos that I had shot last week, one about the fact that the differences between how they are in Christianity, what they should be teaching is not an age of accountability, but they should be teaching what most of the doctrine came before them, and that is if your baby is not a believer and not baptized, then your baby goes to hell if your baby passes away. That if any family member of any age, then they go to hell. And I have to question, why would you believe in a God that is supposed to be a good, loving God that says that if a baby is born and the baby is not baptized, then that baby goes to hell? Why also would you believe in a God that says that he is for love, but your deceased loved ones go to hell if they have not converted over to this religion or believe in this religion? And that everybody else in the world who has never heard of this God or just chose not to because they were born into a religion. And why would anybody who was born into a religion leave their religion for somebody else's religion unless it's done by force? That they're all going to hell. You can have, like someone posted on here, they had a grandfather who was essaying people and was a member of the Catholic Church, was essaying people. He gets to go to heaven because he believes in Jesus, though. But some sweet grandfather living in Tibet who's a Buddhist and they've never harmed a person in their life, they got to go to hell. Make that make sense. How does that in any form? How does that make any sense whatsoever? Why would you accept that? Why would you believe that? Exactly. The idea that babies are born in sin. Now, you know, they flip that on you and they say, well, they're born into a world of sin. That's how they flip that. They're born into a world of sin. But in Genesis 6 and Genesis 9, before the flood and after the flood, this God said that every thought from man is evil from birth, from his youth. Every thought is evil. That means that you can't have a good thought, that what you think are good thoughts are actually evil thoughts. So when you think to save somebody's life, evil thought. When you think to proselytize to someone, evil thought. When you think to romanticize your spouse, evil thought. Because according to this guy, and Genesis chapter 6, RSV. Since I know if I say the updated, it ain't gonna give me that one. But let me move it to the updated version, which is the most. And the reason why I use the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition, because it is the most accurate. All those scribal errors and all that stuff. You see where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Because I don't, you know how some of these folks are. And when the people began to multiply on the face of the earth and the ground, the daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took them as wives. And the Lord said, "My spirit shall not abide, nor forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim on the virgin those days." And afterwards, wait a minute. I was saying Genesis 6. Wait a minute, here we go. Yeah, it is Genesis 6. And the Lord saw that the wickedness was great on the earth, and that. So here we go now. And the Lord saw that the wickedness of humans were great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of their hearts was only evil continuously. And the Lord said, "I am sorry that he had made humans on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart." Now, so every thought that you have is evil. And people can say, "Oh, well, that was back then. That was back then, that every thought was evil." So not now. Not now. We different now. We different now. But, and I kept saying chapter 9, but it's actually chapter 8. Then Noah built an altar. This is after the flood. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took every clean animal and every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing odor, I thought God was a spirit. He up there smelling stuff. Anyway, the Lord said in his heart. Now, how did Noah know what God said in his heart? Or Moses supposedly wrote this story. How did Moses know what God said in his heart? But God said in his heart, "I will never again curse the ground because of humans, for the inclinations of the human heart is evil from youth, nor will I ever again destroy every living creature as I have done." So every thought that you have before the flood and after the flood is evil. I know what kind of God repents. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not so perfect. But I want if I don't know if there's any Christians on here, any Bible believers on here. Oh, well, here we got one right there. Stop trying until you have the full information. They always claim that if you don't believe what they believe, then you ain't studied enough. You ain't studied right. You ain't got the Holy Spirit. I just read what that thing just said. There is no you don't need a Holy Spirit to read something that says that for every inclination of the human heart is evil from youth. A 5-year-old can read that and understand exactly what that means. So, and like what people are saying on here right now, this guy said that he regretted making man. You don't need any kind of deepness to recognize that that is a God who said, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have made them. That's just like I was I was categorizing in my mind, but I'm gonna graph it out on paper every financial mistake that I've ever made and what caused that mistake to see is there a pattern, right? So if I can see that there's a pattern, then I can know how to avoid the pattern, right? This God is regretful of a bunch of shit, changes his mind on a bunch of stuff, recognizing that he's made a bunch of mistakes, and he's always seemingly regretful of what he does. He Adam and Eve put him in the garden. Oh, I'm gonna put this good looking ass tree right up there in front of him and tell him don't eat it. And at the same time, I'm gonna allow for a serpent that I know is beguiling to come into the garden and hope that these people who don't even know the difference between good and evil will be able to resist. No, oh shit, that didn't work. I gotta kick him out. Oh, Cain kill Abel. Fine, I have another child. Cain, I'll give you a mark. That shit didn't work. Cain still dies. Seth line calls upon God. Oh, man is just so evil. My angels I must have had a second rebellion because some other angels came down and had sex with the daughters of men. Because the whole Lucifer thing is supposed to have happened beforehand, which we know Lucifer don't mean that. But the whole rebellion in heaven must have happened beforehand. So here's a second incursion where these angels, instead of me just punishing them down on earth, they're just gonna go down here and have sex with the daughters of men. But then they start being evil, so I'm gonna destroy man. So I regret destroying the man. Oh, the sins of the fathers shall be passed down to the sons for the 5th to the 10th generation. Oh, but you know what? Later on, sins of the father not passed down no more. You're all responsible for your own sin because that was a mistake that I made back then. You know, it's just mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. That this God cannot. I'm gonna give you kings. I'm gonna give you judges. I'm gonna tell you to make sacrifices. I'm gonna give you commandments. I'm gonna give you laws. I'm gonna give you rituals. Oh, none of that shit worked. Hey, tell you what, I just come down and impregnate a little girl and imbue her with myself so that I can die to myself for the sins that I set y'all up to create. And gotta have a little blood sacrifice. So the pattern of this God seems very much like a man who is writing something based on his level of morality at the time frame that they are writing. And then as those moralities change and another author is writing, they change the morality again to fit the morality of the people at that time frame. And then later on, they keep doing it, keep doing it. And then after it's all been canonized, it seems like you can keep doing that just by adding doctrine. Just by adding doctrine. Change the doctrine, change the doctrine. You can be sprinkled, man. You gotta be submerged. You gotta be baptized. Oh, it's a method. There's a methodology to worshiping God. So we're gonna call ourselves the Methodists. We can have witch hunts. Oh, now we can't have witch hunts. Women can't preach in the church. Now women can preach in the church. There's always a change in this religion. There's a constantly changing. Constantly. And this God demonstrates that change. So I don't need some Holy Spirit to see this. You just need to be able to think critically. That's it. Critical thinking. And just be able to read. Critical thinking and reading. And I can never worship a God that, and this is all based on a dream, actually. I had this dream last night. It's too weird and complicated to explain the whole dream, but let me basically put it like this. This God, in the dream, I pretty much just met this God, and although I went through a whole bunch of situations that are built to keep you indoctrinated, like into different systems. Like I went through an antebellum South. Uh, I went through a church. I went through an economic system that tries to hold you down, oppressive economic systems. Went through all these different systems throughout our previous histories that try to hold you down. Went through war fighting, went through being caged up, all these different things, systems, these prisons to keep you held down. But I kept breaking through the system. And then I finally got to this one thing and said that this is just how it is. And it was this funky ass alien god looking thing that crashed down in my grandmother's front yard and tried to drill down in the yard, but then it's like I put a stone down there and couldn't drill through the stone, and so the drill got messed up. And it was like, I'm trying to get you to, I created all this world, I'm trying to get you to worship me and everything. And I've made all, and I was like, but you made so many mistakes. Like, yeah, because I'm not perfect. I'm just a being. And I'm trying to get you to understand that I'm God. And I told her, I said, I said, even if you were God, you did create me. Answer these questions. And the question was about the babies and the raping of a young girl and having to marry her rapist and all these different things that are in this book, slavery and all this, that you condone all these things. And he was like, yeah, but still worship me or I'll destroy you. And I was like, okay, fine, destroy me. Because there's no way in hell I worship you. There's no way in hell I worship you. And that's how the dream ended. Because then I had to use the restroom. But there's absolutely no way that even in my sleep consciousness, I cannot worship this God. I mean, that when I woke up this morning and I thought about that, I was like, damn, even in my sleep, this God can't win. He can't win. Even in my subconscious, as they call it. And I was very proud of myself because I was like, okay, my subconscious have been built strong enough that even in that state, the fear of hell, the fear of this God, the anything I've dealt with, the shame and the guilt, none of those things are impactful. I don't have that I'm afraid of this God, because even in my dreams, and this wasn't a lucid dream. If it was a lucid dream, I was there, well, I control my conscious, my awakened conscious controls that. So this wasn't even a lucid dream. I had no control over this dream. But even in my subconscious, so I was rightly proud of myself that my subconscious has been built strong enough that it recognizes the bullshit even in a dream. And you know how dreams are. Shit be weird. It'd be weird. Like I can see this God drilled animated looking thing that was calling itself God, and was like, nah, bro. And you know how in dreams, like neighborhood houses in neighborhoods, like there was one house that I know that house is on Church Street in Marietta, but it was on the street that my grandparents' house is on, which is North Marietta Parkway. And I was like, that house, so in your dream, you can move a whole goddamn house and it be in the wrong area. So that's what I'm just saying, how crazy dreams can be. But even in that state, this God, no. So I know when people say, oh, you don't know what you're gonna bend on knee when you see this God. No, if this God turns out to be real, turns out to be the real God, there is absolutely no way I would bend a knee for this God. There is absolutely no way a knee will ever bend for this God. Just can't happen. And I was perfectly fine. Destroy me, punish me, whatever. Because let's be real. If the Yahweh God is a real God, I can't whoop his ass. Not in this form. But I'm gonna make sure my mind is strong enough that I can whoop his ass in this astral form. If my consciousness stays intact to the point where I can have a conversation with this being after I leave this body, I'm gonna whoop all his assets. Mm-mm. That is true, Oliver Law. They have not discovered any place because no one has come back. There is not one proof of this existence. This is why, and let me be clear. When it comes to when I speak of any kind of afterlife, my thought process is I don't believe in an afterlife. I hope that my consciousness stays intact. I hope I've built my subconscious and my conscious to be strong enough to stay intact where I have consciousness after I leave this body. But my knowing is that there ain't no proof. This all just gonna blank out and there ain't nothing, just darkness, everybody. There's nothing after this. So it is only hope, not belief. And the hope is gonna be whatever I want it to be. It won't be the biblical version or the Islamic version or nobody's version. It'd be Ren's version. That's it. Just my version only. Y'all might be able to come visit. Y'all can come visit my heaven. It's gonna be a nice party going on. And this God is not worth my time or my fear or my love. And it's not. There are certain lines that I have to draw. And then, I mean, the fact that you would punish people for all eternity is a line that I have to draw. I don't care. You know, humans have done some sick stuff. Humans have done some sick things. And in my basic brain, they should be punished for a very, 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 very long time. In the last live, somebody asked me, do I believe in an eye for an eye? Hell yeah. Sometimes even beyond that. You harm a child, oh, I think you should go through way more than just some harm. And I don't think you should die off real easy. You need to be terrorized for a while. But eternal, nah. I know some people have done some really sick things, but I don't think anybody deserves eternal torment. At some point, the person breaks, right? Like, I can withstand, I have a high pain tolerance, but there's a point where the pain is going to win. That's right. Part of your heaven is going to be on October 31st when you meet us here in San Antonio. Where is your message leading people? I'm trying to follow, but I don't see where it's heading. Well, if you're just looking for just this particular video, this is to say that the ideas of you meet having this big family reunion is a fabrication of Christianity, of the Bible, that is not real. That babies going, according to this book, are going to be thrown in hell, all right, if they died beforehand, if you didn't believe in this God. Now, where that leads to is you independently thinking and recognizing how to deconstruct from this Bible, realizing that this God is not worth worshiping. He doesn't have the value to be worshipped. And that if he was a true God, if there was a true God, that true God would not require worship. That true God would not have the evil in them to torment people for all eternity. That is not a God that has the value to be worshiped. So where it's heading is, as the title of the channel is deconstructing Christianity. Where you go from there is through your own critical thinking to realize that the only thing you know is life now. The only thing you can guarantee is life right now. If there is some form of an afterlife, it would be of your own creation. If there isn't one, which right now, if I had to say yay or nay, it will be nay, then just enjoy the hell out of this life and become the greatest person you possibly can. And being the greatest person you possibly can means that you have a sense of morality. It doesn't mean you go off doing things to people that you don't want done to yourself. What I'm not trying to do is create another religion. That hell. I think the path of deconstructing in this life gets you ready for the program, gets you ready to program your own afterlife. That is how I think. But the afterlife part is still a hope. I will never say that it's a guarantee because no one's been there and come back. And until someone can go to heaven or go to let me not say heaven, go to an afterlife and show proof of that afterlife, it's a belief for the religious person, for the spiritual person. It's all a belief. For the critically thinking spiritual person, it's a hope. It'd be nice. Mm. So, Will, you gonna start a new religion? You're a brave man. Brave, brave man. I don't think I would want that. I don't think I would want that responsibility. I'd rather create, instead of a church, a religion, I'd rather just create an organization where people learn from one another and think freely for themselves and can have conversations without anger because they learn to control their emotions. Right? And by learning to control your emotions, you can have discussions with people without having to resort to name calling, allowing your emotions to get all caught up to the point where you wish harm upon people. You know, a mature society of spiritual people. I call them hermetists or alchemists. You can't avoid the powder. I think you mean power. Kevin Willis, are you saying that there is power in the name of your God? If you are, where's the proof? Where's the proof of that? Now, I could have understood you wrong. You might have meant something different, but please clarify. It's always it's always based on just their emotions. It's just their emotions. That's what they want. That's what they wish, and they easily believe it because they need to. And yeah, people will say they read it, but they most of them haven't read it, and they certainly don't understand it. Coach, would you speak on intersex? Genesis says that God created male and female, but there are people in the middle. So if they dated, they would be sinning. What? I've only met a few intersex people in my life. It's definitely a rarity to meet someone who was born with both male and female genitalia. Most of the time, back in the day, parents would choose one over the other. They would say, okay, make it a girl, make it a boy, and the surgeon would go in and sew up one, chop off the other, or however they want to do it. Right. This does create a problem because an intersex person should be able to date either side without being considered, uh, homosexual, because homosexuality, according to Christians, is evil, is wrong, it's outside of God's law, it's outside of natural law. And you can make the case that in nature, anytime there is, uh, not anytime, there are some animals that are asexual, like earthworms, having both male and female, right? But I saw a comment on there and it threw me off for a second. So they say it's a sin, but here's a person who was born intersex. Now there are some beliefs who say that Adam was intersex, that he was, what's the term, hermaphrodite, that he was a hermaphrodite, and then that's why God was able to separate the rib and create a woman, because Adam had both male and female genitalia. He was hermaphrodite. Uh, but some would say that other than the animals that display this as a normality, that's where I was going, that this is an abnormality, right? It's not normal, just meaning that it's not normal. But just because something is not normal doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. Shit. If we be honest, and this is not trying to bring up racism or race, white people can be considered an abnormality, but because the normal person on the planet has higher counts of melanin, does that make them a mutation? Well, some say it does, but it's just a part of the species in reality. Some species are going to have different attributes based on their diet and their location of dwelling, and then however they match up and have babies. So intersex, we'll call it an abnormality, but it's just a part of the species, something that just happens. But to say it's a sin for them to date either side, no. They date whoever they like. Everybody dates whoever they like. If you're a man, you want to date another man, as long as you ain't forcing other people to do it or even like it, do your thing. You woman want to date a woman, do your thing. I don't see the big issue with intersex people. If you're intersex, enjoy your life. But you are not a sin, and your lifestyle is not a sin. It's a sin when you deny who you really are and you hurt other people purposely. That's a sin, because you wouldn't want somebody to hurt you in the same way. That's the sin. I would have to go back and restudy the Bahia faith to actually have a discussion on it. I haven't researched that one in a very long time. Western, not many cultures have it at all. You know, most cultures see it as something wrong. I mean, hell, they used to think that if you were left-handed, that you were cursed by the devil or you were demonic. You know, man creates categories and what's the thing? We create categories and ah anyway, we create categories for each other, for ourselves, uh, labels for ourselves, and they're all just created by us. You know, we don't know uh, if people who are hermaphrodites. Why do they? Is there a difference between hermaphrodite and intersex? Have I? Is that the PC? Is intersex the PC of hermaphrodite or something? Because they're not different. That's just a new term, and I'm still stuck back in the 80s and 90s when we just used the term hermaphrodite. But anyway, just as there are redheads, and there's not nowhere near as many redheads as there are anybody else, right? On what we call the norm. Does that make them evil? But they used to think that they were. They used to think that that was a problem. Different cultures think that that was an issue. Texas, you crazy. I don't even see how that. You know, that's the crazy part. Now, don't they share a poom poom, or is that separate too? But I could have swore they share a poom poom. So when uh, which one got married? Was it Abby who got married? I don't know. Whichever one got married, if they share a poom poom, who's he having sex with? And then how does do that? Does the other one just like look away? Like how does that even work? Is he getting two for the price of one? But that's just a situation. And what are they going to say that they're sinning? Okay, intersex is just the PC of hermaphrodite. I used to wonder why older people, when I was growing up, used to get irritated because we changed the language of what we call stuff, and they were like, "I'm still gonna say what I've been saying my whole life." I understand how them old people felt back when I was a teenager. And I ain't got time to be trying to keep up with all this bullshit. No, I don't see a problem with intersex people. Why should I see a problem with intersex people? Now, and let me be clear, Rupert, there is a difference to me and biologically between an intersex person who was born with both male and female genitalia and a person who just chooses to say that I'm bisexual, but I want to jump in the intersex category. If I'm understanding how some people do this, because I've heard some people say I'm intersex, but they were born with one genitalia or the other. You're not intersex. You just decided you bisexual or whatever. You gay or, and I don't even understand why there's a difference between gay and lesbian. That's stupid to me. It's all gay, right? Why do women got to separate themselves to be lesbian? Yeah, it's all gay, and not that you be gay. Like, why creating divisions amongst your own group? It don't even make sense to me. It's stupid. It's all gay. And I'm not saying that to like a bad way, but it just the trying to have all these different fucking labels is irritating. But no, if you're born with both genitalia, why would I have a problem with you? Why would I have a problem with that? You were born that way. And if you feel like I was born a man in a woman's body, okay, that's a decision that you're making, and that's how your feelings are going. Do it. Be it. Don't force me to be think a certain way about it though. Having a problem because someone was born, I ain't even click on that, but what do you say? Intersex, they are their own best voice. See, Sean, I'm gonna put Sean on punishment. Having a problem with someone who was born a certain way is like I got a problem with you because you were born black. I got a problem with you because you were born white. It ain't got shit to do with your personality. It ain't got shit to do with how you act, your behavior. You were born black. I got a problem with you. You were born white. Got a problem with you. You were born a man. You were born a woman. Got a problem with you. That's how ridiculous that is, sounds to me. And then even in this world where people decide that they're going to be this or that, I got a problem with you because of that. Come on now. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on the book, but read it a couple of times before you start giving those thoughts. Especially when you get to um, the divine paradox. I was told something like this when we was doing one of our. So when I was in the Marine Corps, and when we pulled up some of the Arab countries, some of the country assessments or intakes. I forgot what the briefings were called, and they would tell us things like similar, not exactly like that, but they would tell us some things like, you see a grown man loving being affectionate towards a young boy, you know, don't stare, and this is why, and all that stuff. So I can't say I know that that's something that they do as far as chopping off genitals, but I've witnessed the overly affection to young boys who weren't their sons. Like, I showed my son affection, but not like that. So, Rupert, why do you see a problem with intersex people? And be specific. Are you talking about people born that way? Because who all claims to be intersex? Like, it's more than just people who are born that way, right? Don't I try to keep up. I do. Um, I do try to keep up because I try not to offend people because I wouldn't want to be offended myself. If a person says that they want to be called a different name or be use some dang pronouns, then the pronoun thing would be throwing me off. Because you're looking at somebody, they look like a girl, but they want to use he, him. And I'm like, it's not that I want to disrespect them, but it's like every time I look at you, I see she, her. Right. If there's a problem with intersex people, take it up with your God so he can regret these so-called imperfections. Because now, let me tell you what they would say, Dwayne. It was because Eve had ate the tree and disobeyed God and brought the sin into the world, and that's why all the mutations came about. God didn't make that person that way. But if God knows everything, is all powerful and omnipresent, omniscient, than he did. If he's the creator of all, if he knew who was it, Isaiah, if he knew Isaiah when he was in the womb, or Ezekiel, one of them that he knew in the womb, I think it was Isaiah, then he already knew and allowed it. So if a person is born intersex, y'all don't have to. I just so wanted to just use the term hermaphrodite. But if a child is born intersex, then who created that child? Didn't God create that child? I know correlation is not causation, but the more religious someone is, the more kinky. I have some yeses on that side, and I have some no's on that side. Because I've dealt with the super religious, but boring as shit missionary, don't hardly ever do much of nothing. Uh, then I have the super religious, but they all out there and everything. So not born that way, people who change their sex preference. So you're not talking about people who were born that way. But are so you know what? Why am I asking y'all? What is this? What is the definition of intersex people? Refers to people born with a gender, typical binary definition. Genitals or chromosomes or hormones. So like a man who's born with a whole bunch of estrogen. So it's not just people who just have the genitals. Noticeable birth differences at birth, while others might not discover their intersex until they are in life. Importantly, being intersex is not the same as being transgender, though some intersex individuals may also identify as transgender. See, this shit is confusing. I mean, it's not confusing. It's just it's too much, too many. Let's be more definitive in these terms. That's why I like hermaphrodite. See, I'm gonna keep using hermaphrodites to only refer to people who were born with both genitalias. Now, people who were born and let's say they have more estrogen or more testosterone and they feel more male but are in a female body biologically, or they're born with a whole bunch of estrogen but feel more female. Like I know some dudes who got so much estrogen they literally got breasts. Uh, then those will be intersex people, and then they make a decision based on if you got with hormones and chromosomes, they create personality traits and thoughts that make a person think a certain way. Like you get a man or a woman with a whole bunch of testosterone, they are going to act more dudeish. Like, and I know some of them they act dudeish, but they like dude, they like women. I mean, they like men, but they, you know, act more dudeish because they got high levels of testosterone going through their system. You know, they have some of them have developed mustache and beards and shit. And you got some dudes who are like, so I always when if I see a dude and I was like, I wouldn't automatically assume he's gay because of his personality. Some dudes are just very passive. They have feminine personalities, but they like women. So you can't just automatically make those assumptions. So I try not to assume with anybody because if you didn't know no better, you look at Prince and be like, he gay. But Prince is the only man that I know that wear high heels and makeup and will take your woman. I always like that joke. But nobody's gonna say Prince was gay. Uh-uh. Yeah, everybody know Prince like women, as far as we know. Now, if he has some stuff going on, we don't know, but we know that. So anyway, so I don't have a problem if a person says that I feel like I'm a man trapped in a woman's body or vice versa. That's their own. Who are you to say that those chemical reactions that are happening within their system is wrong? Didn't this God make them that way? And if somebody want to change their body, I may not agree with it. Like I don't change certain changes of the body I can deal with. Other changes of the body I can't. It just don't. But if a person chooses to do that and they're adults, who am I to judge them on their choices? I'm no one to judge them on their choices. As long as they're not trying to force me to make a choice about me, my family, I'm good. You might be the best person ever. I have high testosterone as a feminine woman who is only attracted to males. There you go. You got high testosterone. You so girl, but you girly. You strike me as girly. What? Okay, I can barely understand what you saying, but we read earlier, and you was on here when I read that where God said He regretted making man. So God, your God, the God of your Bible admits that He made a mistake. Okay, but as far as any person being born, I don't think any person is a mistake. Can people have issues at birth? Sure. You know, I had some friends of mine whose child was born with spina bifida. Spina bifida. The child was never a mistake. The child was born with issues. I used to, when I was in my first year of high school, well, that summer before high school, in the first part of my freshman year, I dated a girl who had cerebral palsy. She's a wonderful young lady, and she turned out to be a wonderful adult. She was not a mistake. She just had issues. And I sure treated her like she didn't have no issues at all. So, and that just goes, I bring that part up because when I'm saying this stuff now, it's not like it's a new thing for me. I've always been that way. Like, I didn't treat Calandra any differently than I treated any other girl back when I was, how old was I? 14, 15 years old. She got treated the same way as every other girl or any other person. I remember this. Her main issue was one of her hands and her, I think it was her left leg or something like that. Left, no, let me see. It was her right leg. And we was crossing the street one time, and it was a 4-lane highway, and she was, there was cars coming, she was moving slow. I like, I just, girl, you better come on, better hurry up. You know, you know the, she had a little hitch and a giddy up when she walked. I wasn't like, oh, let me stop the track. You better bring your ass. Hey, I treat her the same way I treat anybody else. So, no, nobody's a mistake. Nobody's born a mistake. People born out of wedlock, that's not a mistake. Wedlock, what, paper? Paper makes wedlock? Bullshit. I've been tested on several occasions. Okay. You are the most girly person I've met with high testosterone. You one of the top girls. I ain't gonna say the. You one of the. You in the top. Yeah, pick her up. Hell no, I wasn't gonna pick her up. Shit. Actually, I'm gonna be a little egotistical because I dated her and I treated her like a regular person. About and of course we broke up during that first, but after, right after homecoming, we broke up. She did. I did take her to homecoming, but we broke up soon after. But it was probably about 6, 7 years later that ran into another guy who ended up dating her, and that guy was like, I always liked her, but I was scared to date her because I didn't want nobody talking about me. He said, but when I saw you date her, it gave me the confidence to date her. Then he dated her through most of high school, but they broke up. And then she wound up marrying somebody else. And I'm gonna take credit. I think that the time frame I spent dating her made our little, because where we grew up was a close knit communities in Marietta, Cobb County at the time. I think that made everybody else see her just as a regular person, and she was very pretty, but seeing her as a regular person and nothing to be embarrassed about. And as far as her and her life, how it went thereafter, the fact that she did get married, have two beautiful daughters, I think that started that process. And when that dude came up to me and he was like, you know what, man, because of you, I had the courage to date her. And for that guy to date her, who was very well known, just pushed that. So just because we give other people's opinions too much credit. And I know this is not what we're talking about here. This is actually something that I should talk about in my relationship channel. But we give too many other people credit for who we should be with, who we shouldn't be with. If a person has something different about them, we should look at them differently. Everybody's opinion, everybody got an opinion, and most of their opinions suck. Okay, now I get back to that. If a child was born with their issues, then they're them, they're us. But it's a problem for who though? That's the thing. So, Rupert, question. If a gay couple move in next to you, next door to you, or an intersex couple move in next to you, how does that affect your life? Like, really, how does that affect your life? If you are a believer in the Bible, how does that affect your life? You understand what I'm saying? So, how is it a problem? And if a person is born with issues, how is it a problem? It's just if it's a person is born with an issue, it might be a situation to deal with or overcome. Like I posted on my regular channel, this little blind girl, cute as can be, right? Her mother teaching her, she riding a bicycle. How is her being blind and her riding a bicycle a problem for anybody? See what I'm saying? What the hell? What's wrong with you, man? What is now? You've already said you have a mental problem. See now, Rupert, this is when somebody got a mental problem and needs some correction. Because when you are making, see, when a person does that, that's a problem. That's a problem. And James, ah, so there are two people primarily on my channels, both on Facebook. Either they have some sexual attraction towards me, or they're just envious. But James and Rivers, I don't play on that team. I likes the women. You know, I like women. I've always liked women. Women are if the God of the Bible is real, the only thing I'm going to applaud that dude for is for creating women. That's the best thing he could ever created. That's the only thing he got right. Now some of them crazy, but that's the only thing he got right. But I don't play on y'all team, James and Rivers. I like the women, shapes and sizes, curves, skin tone, the hair, the tatas, the boom boom, the poom poom. So James and Rivers, if it's a sexual attraction that y'all have for me, but your Bible, tells you that it's wrong, I don't play on your team, you know. So you might be venting, projecting, but I, go find it somewhere else. Or maybe you're just jealous. I don't know. Or maybe it's envy. And that's the problem. And your Bible tells you that you shouldn't be envious of anyone. And you're projecting that out. So because you talking about sucking penises, James. Come on, man. I don't want to hear about a dude sucking penises. That's not on. I don't play on that team. If you do that in your own private life, have fun. Do what you do. Not for me. What up, Marcus? Oh man. And yes, Rupert, it's not a problem for a child to be born with issues. Like everyone is born with some level of some issue. Like I got issues. Let's see, what was I? Was I born with an issue? What's the issue? Let's see. I'm trying to think if I was born with an issue. I'm sure I got one somewhere in my body. Well, I'm sure that the if I had known that my spine would, um, I have a minimum curve in my spine, very minimal. Which, if I had known more about the science of it, I probably wouldn't played as many sports as I played, and probably would not have went to the Marine Corps. So the buildup of arthritis and degeneration in my spine would not be as deep. Do y'all? Y'all remember the live that we got into a whole conversation about synergy and synchronicity? So y'all know I just did that whole big thing about James and Rivers, right? And then who pops up? Ah, uh, You know how they say you think about somebody, you talk about somebody like a friend of yours, and then all of a sudden they call you. So I guess talking about James and Rivers, then all of a sudden Rivers pop up. Now he might have just joined the live. I don't know, but so he may not know what I'm talking about. But that joker popped up right on time. Exactly, right on time. I'm telling you, when Carl Jung first started talking about that, he was on to something. You're putting it in a negative way. I have family members who are gay, not a problem to me, just a problem overall. I don't see it as a problem. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying. Um, the only problem I see with that the community, that particular community, is when they try to force other people to accept their way of life in the positive who don't necessarily desire to accept it that way. Everybody has the right to accept things however they want. Now, just because you don't accept it doesn't mean you have the right to go and bash people, harm people, do anything towards people. Um, if you don't like something, you just don't like it. But it gives you no right to judge people or restrict people's ability to coin the phrase "life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Marcus, that's going to be the conversation for tomorrow's live. I was planning on the esoteric Christianity conversation to be tomorrow's live. So don't get started with that conversation. That's tomorrow. What's the topic? Is this no, that wasn't the conversation early on. The subject of the conversation was about the lie of the family reunion in heaven. But of course, after the first hour, we go into whatever conversation the tribe goes into. Sean, see, we all gonna put Sean on punishment. Oh man. But yeah, we're in that part, and we got about 15 minutes or so. And then I gotta, yeah, about 15 minutes. And then I'll be making the other videos for later on. And since an hour ago I made this statement, hey, if you haven't signed up, look in the description of this video, and you'll see the link to be able to sign up and reserve your room at the Drury Hotel in downtown San Antonio for the weekend of October 31st through the 2nd of November, where we're going to have our Free Thinkers meetup. There, every place that we meet up will be free. You just have to get to one of the places. Everything else should be in walking distance. Uh, the hotel offers a free lunch, free breakfast and a free supper, as well as a snack during the midday. So please go ahead and sign up for that. I look forward to meeting each and every last one of you guys, and we're going to have meetups at the Japanese Tea Garden. We're going to have one at the pool. You don't have to get in the pool. We're just going to meet there because it's a free space, and we're going to have a Friday night meetup, hopefully at this one spot. But I won't say what the place is until I know that they don't have a prearranged event that night, because it will be Halloween. So they may have a reserved it, but I don't know yet. And yes, we can have heaven on earth. That's the whole thing. Oh yeah, Rupert did say he agreed. Okay, all right, we good, Rupert. We can have heaven on earth. We don't have to live in the world that we live in today. Yes, there are other people who do things that could interfere with our heaven, but even in that, think about children. One of the things that I love about watching children is that when you see children in any situation, them little rat children know how to they will have fun no matter what their conditions are. You can go to the worst ghetto, you will find children playing. You can go to the richest neighborhood, children are playing. You can go to the most desolate ass place, children are playing. You can go to places that are filled with everything a person could ever desire, and children will play. Children make heaven wherever they are. Wherever they are, children make life into heaven. And that's the mindset we should have. We lose that as we get older. Sorry, that was my brother calling me. I know why he called me. I showed him that good food that my wife had made, that we made over the weekend. I like to mess with my brother. I want to mess with y'all for a second. Did I delete all those? I think I deleted all of them. But um, yeah, but you can make, and I understand Kevin is saying hell is empty. So I want y'all to get the fullness of what he's saying. Heaven is empty because the demons and devils are here. And that's inside of every person. If you allow that portion of you to take control, then that's what's going to control your life. And that's how you're going to see the world. The problem with these religions is they emphasize it. Think about something, and I was going to talk about this on a different video. The church religions emphasize the power of whatever they call the devil to such a degree that the people who believe in this God give more credit of power to the so-called devils of the world, the devil, than they do to their God. They'll say no weapon can form against me will prosper, but yet their life will go to hell in a handbasket, and they'll say the devil did it. The devil is working on it. It makes no sense. If your God is so strong, how is the devil just up there running shit all in your life? The devil causing you to lose family members and have all these messed up things happen to you. I thought I'd just say all that. Doesn't make any sense to me, but people believe it. They believe it front 100%. And they follow it. I thought the devil didn't have any power over them. They'll claim the devil don't have power over them, but as soon as something bad happens, that's who they blame. Because hell and the devil's domain, religion says is we are born into sin, meaning, right, you're born into what the devil has created. That makes no sense to me. You're supposed to be these all powerful. Your God is supposed to be all powerful, but he loses to other gods like Shamash. right? Because they say he kicked the devil out of heaven, but the devil still came with Jesus. Not only that, he showed up. According to them, they believe that the Satan is the devil, but the devil somehow shows up in Job in heaven. How he get into heaven? Should he not be able? Shouldn't he not be able to go to heaven? But he just walking back and forth. Satan got some walk around money, going into heaven like it's all good, talking to God. They having a bet over Job's life and everything. They ain't go back down to earth, start up some more bullshit. That's what they claim. Why am I not finding what I'm looking for here? Where y'all at? And then they tell you that all you got to do is believe in this God, believe in Jesus, and you get to go to heaven. You could have committed all the atrocities, and you get to go to heaven. So y'all know that dude Hitler, and that shit right there might cause the channel to get this to get demonetized. You know he was a Bible believer, right? He believed in Jesus. So if he believed in Jesus, then doesn't that mean he get to go to heaven according to their teachings? I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know. Am I wrong? Don't their teachings teach that? I think my phone know I was trying to be an ass, so it don't want to bring it don't want to let me send this stuff to y'all. It won't let me send this. Oh well. Um, how the God has taste buds and is always a sacrifice of savory meats and fine wine. That is why the idea of the four different texts, the J text, the P text, the D text, and the E text, that's why that um, thought process is gaining ground. Um, is because this deity is humanized in one version, some versions, and then is all ethereal in another. But just like the part that we read about Noah earlier in this video, when Noah had his sacrifice, he smelled he smelled that good odor of the meats. He sat with Abraham and had his feet washed and ate some food. Right? He becomes corporal when it's convenient. What kind? That's synonymous with how a lot of the ancients viewed their gods. So when they try to say, "Oh, look at the Egyptians, they were so wrong. They made their gods are more like humans." Well, the Bible God is the same way, because that was a normal characteristic for the people of that day, was to humanize their deities and um, make them just like themselves. And having all these issues of, oh, they're gonna eat food and they walking around in the cool of the day and all these sorts of things. Their gods have the same stuff. Yep. And yeah, he was Christian. Tried to hunt down relics. That's what the whole Indiana Jones series is based on. People took against the Nazis was to if you married a Protestant, and according to some Christian dogma, he can't because he committed suicide. Well, that's in the Catholic faith, the Catholic version of Christianity, right? But he believed in Jesus, so that should get him in. It should be a forgivable sin because he believed in Jesus. So he should be forgiven and allowed into heaven, according to their story. I had a little assholery that I was going to do earlier, but the conversation has shifted. See, oh, and I was talking about my brother had called, and you can have heaven on earth. Let me show y'all this heaven that, and I know most of the time I don't do this. Oh shit, where is it? This is not wanting to act right at all. Oh. But sometimes you got to have some heaven on earth, and you create it. So, hot Texas day, me and my wife decided to create a little heaven on earth, you know. So, we was in the backyard, creating a little heaven on earth, having a little good time. And sometimes you just got to create your heaven on earth. See? You just gotta do these things. And then while you got that fire going, you get the fire pit going to have that fire going. And then it concluded with this beautiful heaven on earth. It was just heaven on earth. Just heaven on earth. At the end of the day, it was heaven on earth. So you can create your own heaven. I just want Tim and Raph to see that because they be trying to get they trying to get to my house on when we have the meetup. Not coming to my house. All right, okay. Now, see, if I said, "Oh yeah, y'all gonna come to my house and we're gonna have a queue, we're gonna queue up some stuff like that," I bet you y'all be signing up for the dang on meetup then, huh? Anyways, back to the subject. You can commit genocide and still be on good terms with the Pope if you uphold the Catholic doctrine. That is absolutely true because he visited the Vatican. He never conquered the Vatican. He visited. He had an alliance with the Vatican. Yeah, that dude straight up was Christian. But see, our sense of morality today denies that. So they have to say, "Oh no, he was evil. Oh no, oh no, he's not going to heaven," because it messes with your sense of morality today because you know that what he did was wrong as hell. Yeah. hmm Yeah. Yeah. I guarantee if I was saying that we was gonna feed y'all like that, y'all a show. If I was like on Saturday, we're gonna meet up at my house, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a little backyard party. Y'all be like, "Oh shit, I'm coming." That'd be $20 a plate. That'd be $20 a plate. Which means not gonna happen. Oh yeah, and Rap and Sean and all them, they always want the free cigar too. Well, Sean never says anything about free cigar. That's Rap. It's free cigar. That's not. With some good food cigars. That's, see, see. Oh, let me be an ass about it though. I've been trying to connect. See, Isaac. Been trying to invite Isaac and his wife over for dinner, but he don't ever had time for me. Him and his wife, they ain't got time for us, so they always busy. Because he did me a solid before we moved here, and I appreciate it. And I want to show my gratitude. But I guess Isaac just don't feel he don't want to be in my presence. Hot tears running down my face, hot tears. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Y'all can't think. Don't take me as being serious all the time. I can't be serious all the time. That is one of the fearful things that I hate that you guys are going to learn when you meet me on October 31st through this November 2nd, is that um, the overwhelming majority of me is not serious at all. It's not. So I hope I don't disappoint too much. Oh, Leopold, man, he was Christian, definitely Christian. Now, actually, I think you have to up his numbers. No, I think it was 30 million. The people in the Congo that he had murdered, is like 30 million. So yeah, he was way worse than that little guy. Yeah. But nobody kills like this guy. Nobody. Isaac. See, Isaac, you could have had that, Isaac. You could have had that. If you had accept the invitations, Isaac, this is what you could have had. Okay. Um, you say turn the AC with hot tears. Yep. But I mean, this guy, he's killed more people. I mean, just the Flood Smith alone has decimated more people than if let's say that story was a true story, and that would have been happening in around 2500 BCE. The world population would have been, I don't know what the world population would have been at that time frame. What is the estimate of the world population in 2500 BCE? So the estimate of the world population in 2500 BCE is estimated around 20.5 million people. So you can add 20.5 million to all the others, the people that he genocided. Don't be laughing, Isaac. But all the other people that he genocided, whether we're talking about the Ammonites or the Moabites or any of the other ites, all the Canaanites that he massacred, and then all the ones that died because he said slavery, that chattel slavery was good to go. All those people that he put in situations of slavery that ultimately millions were killed during every type of slavery that's happened. So this Yahweh God is worse than any and all. And people say the devil is a bad guy. Exactly. What up, Brian? Why chosen people? So everyone fell for this Jewish mythology because once the Roman government with its military took over, especially in 381 and 382, when Theodosius II became emperor of Rome and decided that all of the Roman Empire would be Christian, they did so with the sword. So that's why, and the other countries of Europe followed in that pathway of being Christian, and so with their military might, uh, they went around the world genociding and forcing this religion on people. And you shouldn't worship a God that has chosen people. That's like I got, when Sidney Simone and Lincoln were born, that'd be like me choosing Simone as my favorite, and then acting like you other ones. I'm gonna let y'all get grafted in because Simone is my favorite. That's bad. That's piss poor parenting. And I don't want to be second tier. If my no, I can tell you from my own personal experience. Now I know it's a little bit more complicated than I had originally thought as a child, because I found out that the only reason I didn't grow up with my father is because my mother didn't want to leave her parents, and he moved to Texas and then moved to Florida. So I don't blame him 100%, but I do blame him for his lack of communication with me as growing up as a child. But when I went to visit him in Florida and see and being there with him and his blended family that he had, I felt some kind of way because I felt like the grafted in child. And I'm like, dude, I'm your blood and I'm the grafted in child. So I felt some kind of way, which made it difficult. We didn't develop a relationship until I was about 26, 27. So what those are failed perceptions of man. A God worth worshiping should not have those failed perceptions. How can I pick up on people's thoughts? You said you do this and um well, I meditated. Well, one is I do a lot of meditation. Two, and meditation helps you to, upgrade your brain, to use the kind of a software thing, upgrade the software in your brain. Two is just being around people and developing emotional attachments to people. To be able to pick up on people outside of that is hard. You can pick up on people's energy and have a gut feeling. So you develop, that's why another reason I use the chakra system to help develop my gut instincts. Your gut instincts can give you people's energy, but not so much their direct thoughts. Coach, ask these book club members this one question: is what came first, man or religion? If the man is the answer, then ask where did the soul of those that came before religion? Where are the souls? Well, man certainly came before religion. Man created religion. And that's a very valid question. What happens to them? And nobody knows. It's all based on what they've made up with their different religions. In the earliest religions, man didn't have an afterlife. Afterlife was something that was developed over time. And this is why I always say that if your religion keeps you from murdering people, harming people, robbing people, essaying people, stay with your religion. If that's the only thing that's keeping you there, keeping you from doing that. Now, yes, as Sean is saying, it doesn't always work, because you can just look at this channel. There are believers who come on my channel and they just state their opinions. They state their facts. What they believe to be facts. They state what they believe on the Bible says, and they might even go as far as saying that they go too far as saying that, yeah, you need to go. I'm gonna pray for you. I don't want your witchcraft, but they will say, I pray for you. You need to read it through the understanding of uh, the Holy Spirit and all those sorts of things. Deal with that. Easy. No problem. Still being polite. But then you got the ones like James and Rivers, where all they can resort to doing is calling you names and try to get under your skin. And, I corrected Rivers on how to spell my name. And now he wants to call me by a wholly different name. Just showing that good Christian hate, right? That's why I think that they're either jealous or they got some type of sexual attraction. Because there is not one person outside of my family that I give that much attention to. I mean, and when I say family, that includes the few people that I call friend. I don't give that much attention to them. I don't give that much attention to anybody else. Other people that I follow on social media, they don't get that much attention from me, right? Not at all, right? They don't get that much. But seemingly, it's like these two people live to come on and show their Christian hate. And this may sound very overly masculine, but I'll be damned if I show that much attention to a dude that I claim I don't like. Oh, that's crazy. A coworker just told me that you could show a video of Jesus stabbing a child and she would still worship him. That's insane. I can't even imagine something like that. You show me that? No, we don't have a problem. If you show me, if I'm looking to put Jesus in jail. He got to go to jail now. After I whoop his ass, he got to go to jail, and then we're gonna put him under the prison. Then we're gonna put him in a prison where all the other dudes got children, so that they can beat his ass some more forever. I've seen those videos where Vladimir Putin is showing Jesus being brown and all that, but he didn't exist. And we all know that the people in that area were brown anyway. But what does it really matter? I mean, it doesn't matter. Shameless plug. Well, we go live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday now at our new time of 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also produce videos almost every day, 3 to 4 videos a day. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on your bell notifications. See, and honestly, I think part of the ploy of control, and I'm glad you put this up here, part of the ploy of control is so, you know, it's one thing when Europeans have been walking away from this religion, right? They still control the majority of the world right now. But with these African nations gaining their independence and starting to do better for themselves and take away the harness of colonialism, and then with the huge swath of people in the diaspora that are walking away from this religion, you got to try to draw them back into the controls of this religion. And by saying that, hey, look, in Russia, we've always said that he was a brown skinned man or a black man. So keep believing, Don't let that go, because we want your land and your resources. So let me show you that he was black. The Europeans still, they ain't worried about the other ones. It's let's keep controlling these black people, these people who are rising in economic power. Because as they rise in economic power, they'll rise in military power. So we got to maintain this control. So let me show you that he was black. And in that way, you'll be satisfied and you'll stay under the prison of religion. And therefore, we still control you. Because we don't want you to think about the fact that your ancestors, whether they were in Americas or in Africa or in India or wherever, they were beaten into this religion. They were enslaved or colonized into this religion. And in every instance, yeah, they're going to point out the missionaries who came, but the missionaries came backed by a military. So it's just so Putin coming out and showing that ain't nothing but a swerve to keep that control. Just to keep control. Because what they don't want to see, what they don't want to lose control of, is they don't want to lose control of the buying power of the diaspora, and they don't want to lose control of the resources in Africa. They lose those resources. What resources are they getting out of Europe? What gold mines do they have in Europe? What copper mines? What lithium mines do they have there? None. They ain't got nothing. If they got a little bit, a little something here and there. That's why they're trying to kill Torre. Or is it Traore? That's why they're trying to get rid of that man. They don't want none of that. Yep. And that's what I taught my kids. You gotta learn facts. Lean on facts. Don't lean on some damn belief. Once I started moving away from Christianity, I learned history. The first thing that pushed me one way was why was a man born where he was and when portrayed, and then portrayed as white. Exactly. And a lot of them try to say, well, there was so much Greek and Roman influence and so on and so forth. Not to the degree where there was a significant amount of people who would have been of mixed heritage. Oh, this whole thing is about it ain't about them. They've been saying for the last 40 years, oh, they are a couple of years from having a nuclear bomb, and then 4 years later, they're only a couple of years. 4 years later, they're only a couple of years. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. They want their oil. They want their control of what is it? The Straits of Hesmon, who, whatever it is. And I've been through those straits. It's a narrow strait. Is it a good idea to read the Quran as well? I mean, it's just as false. It's only a good idea to read it if you want to combat it, but it's just as false. It doesn't serve any purpose other than the same conditioning that the Bible does. Just a bad religion. All right. It's been 2.5 hours. My cigar has been gone for 15 minutes or so. So that means the show is over. And plus, I got to do some other work to make. So I got about 3-4 videos to make. And then I got some other work to do for this project that I'm working on, which is why we had to change the schedule. Hormuz, thank you. Which is why we had to change the schedule to 12 noon. So remember, the schedule now is lives will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. because other projects I have to work on takes up my evening. So sorry, but this is the original schedule anyway. So I appreciate everybody for being here. We will, like I said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Please subscribe to the channels, um, share the videos and everything, because you know I think I've been shadow banned on Facebook, but it's all right. So share the videos. I look forward to our conversation tomorrow, where we're going to talk about the esoteric Christians and their bullshit. Um, that's the conversation for tomorrow. So if that interests you, then I look forward to hearing your points and your thoughts and your ideas. We are having our meetup October 31st through November 2nd here in San Antonio. The link is in the description to sign up to be able to get your reservation. Your reservation doesn't cost you anything. At the Drury in downtown San Antonio for free thinkers. And we're going to have multiple events where we're going to meet up together. Every place that we meet will be free. There's no cost of entry. So it's just if you want to eat or something like that while you're there, that's all it is. Eat or drink. And there's only one place that you're going to need to catch an Uber or something to get there. And you guys, as we gather on Friday evening, you can figure out who's going to share rides and how you get there. It's only like $15 for an individual ride there, so it shouldn't cost you much. But everything else will be in walking distance. So I look forward to seeing all you guys. And Sean, Rath, Tim, no, there will not be an event at my house, and there will not be free cigars. So get that out of your system. So I look forward to seeing all you guys. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.